Praise in the house today. How many can relate to the value? I know it's not the word value there, of when God finally broke it. God, I know that some of y'all don't want to hear that, but I'm here today because I've been broken. Right? The old Mike died and the new Mike was resurrected. Right? Hallelujah, hallelujah. We are going to continue. This will be the last message on the series, Trained by the Greatest. We just want to recap the previous two messages. The first one is, I'm going to knock you out. How many of you were here for that one? Amen. And God was showing us that this year, 2020, that some of us are going to get a knockout. Certain areas of our lives, certain things we've been dealing with for a while now. And remember now, I was encouraging you because I feel like that many of you are growing and have grown in 2019. How many grew up a little bit in 2019, right? Isn't it great when you finally just let God do it in your life? It's so much easier, right? And but there are some of us, we've been praying about some things over the years, and God said, this year it's your time for a knockout. And we showed 3 fighters. We showed Mike Tyson getting knocked out by Evander Holyfield. And we also showed Muhammad Ali knocking out George Foreman and Sugar Ray Leonard knocking out Thomas Hearns. And we took those scenarios within those fights and we applied them to our own life. And we're not going to get into that. And then last week, God told us, he said, I will defend you. Right? And so if we're trained by the greatest, we're going to need to be defended by the greatest, right? And that's why it's just so important that we trust God in this hour. I'm here to tell you, there's been times when it took everything I had not to do it a certain way. But yet I yielded to God. And trust me, when you give it over to him, you cannot lose.
Hallelujah.
I don't care what it looks like. If you can just say, Lord, not my will, but thy will be done. I dare you to do it. I dare you to stop worrying about what your husband's doing, what your wife's doing. Put him on the altar and let God handle it. Put her on the altar, let God handle it. He does a better job anyhow. Yes. Right? So last week it was, I'm going to defend you. This week we are simply going to use the subtitle, The Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd. You know, there are a lot of scriptures that we quote all the time that don't kind of have that same kick, you know, like John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Now, we thank God for that scripture, but when you say it, it kind of, you know, we say it so much, but Psalms 23, it's going to talk to you every time you read it. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. So we're going to dig down because I believe this year, 2020, is an important year for all of us. And let's be honest, we're not like God. Our God is Alpha and Omega. He's already at December 31st now. So he knows who's going to be here, who's not going to be here. You know, there's a lot of folks that aren't here that were here in 2019. So I want to position myself because I don't know what this year is going to bring. I'm very concerned about this presidential election, not about who gets in the White House, but the tension. I'm more worried about the war that's going. There's a lot happening right now. And God is saying to us, can you make that statement wholeheartedly? Is the Lord your shepherd? Right? He's our shepherd when we really need him, when we got stuff going on. But he's my shepherd 24/7. Now, how many can say that today? The Lord is my shepherd. Right? Hallelujah. So we're going to break it down. Yes, the pastor is going to break down one verse at a time here. All right. We look at verse 1 and let's see if we can have the Lord give us some insight here. Verse 1 now, it says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. The key here now is that I know the Lord is my shepherd because I hear his voice. There is no way a sheep will survive if he cannot hear the shepherd's voice. And if there's a focus in the message today, it will be that we really need to develop being able to hear the Spirit of God. Not only hear the Spirit of God, but some of us need to start at least thinking about, I want to hear your voice, because some of us don't even concern ourselves with hearing the voice of God. Not only hearing the voice, but being led by God. All right? Can you give me that first image? Back in biblical times, there were these pens in which multiple flocks would be stored. And early in the morning, the shepherds would come, and the sheep would be all mixed together. But it didn't matter because the sheep knew the voice of their shepherd. So even if they had 3 or 4 different shepherds calling their sheep, the sheep would follow the voice, even though there were multiple voices that they were hearing. And it's very important that you and I learn to hear his voice in the middle of other voices. We've got to get to a point where he is our shepherd. When there are things going on, and you know how the enemy, remember now, our adversary, the description of how he attacks comes from Psalms 91 with the arrow, right? The arrows that fly. So thoughts are like arrows. And the enemy's not trying to hit a target, he's trying to hit at the right time. Everything with him is timing. So as soon as something happens and we're a little chaotic and we're upset and we're disappointed, that's when the arrow's going to come. It's about timing. And at that moment, can we hear the voice of the shepherd? Today's message really, if we want to get to the heart of it, we've got to desire more to be led by the shepherd, to hear his voice. Hallelujah. I just want you to turn quickly to John chapter 10. Keep your finger in Psalms 23. This is the Gospel of John chapter 10. When you have it, say amen. I don't have my sword with me, so I'm reading from the NIV. All right? It says, I tell you the truth, the man who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way, is a thief and a robber. The man who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The watchman opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize, y'all see that, right? A stranger's voice. We have to ground our emotions to where we can separate the voices and be led by the shepherd. Verse 2, he maketh me lie down in green pastures. When I think of this scripture here, there are many illustrations we could use, but the one that spoke to me as I was praying about this is that he tells me it's safe to lie down. So if he's leading me, I'm following him based on his voice. At some point in time, when he tells me to lie down, I can rest assured that I'm in a safe place. Can you give me that next image? If looks like green pastures. But if you look closely, what you're looking at there are snake holes. And some of us this year, 2020, we really need to be real careful about what looks green and what looks good. You want to hear the shepherd's voice and not lean on your own understanding. You want to hear the shepherd's voice because you don't want to get in a place and you lie down and there's poison right underneath you. How many have went in the wrong direction because it looked good, and then when you got over there, you realize, oh my God, I done messed up. But I thank him that I've learned from the times that I went the wrong way. And now I'm tuned into the shepherd's voice. And my goal is to go in a direction, because when he says he's going to make me lie down, I'm going to be in a safe place. See, the green, the green pastures, it looks good. And we kind of connect this scripture to a time of prosperity. How many of you know prosperity sometimes is all about being broken? Sometimes God will make you lie down places and it don't feel good, but it's good for you. Oh, hallelujah. Maketh me lie down. In other words, he's telling me it's okay to lie here because it's safe. Can you give me the next image? This is now a picture of you and I when we obey God. This is not about the blessing. This is about God positioning you. And sometimes he positions us in settings that are not comfortable, but they'll be good for us. Hallelujah. All right, verse 2a, he leadeth me beside the still waters. Can you give me that next image? When I think of still waters, I think of a safe place away from the noise. We are so blessed to live on the Jersey Shore. I don't know, I would struggle to live anywhere else because I love being near the ocean. Do I have a witness in the house that we love the Jersey Shore? And you know, all of us at some point in time have driven down to the beach just to chill and clear our heads out and be by the water. But in the storm of my life, I happen to be living in Lakewood, and y'all know in Lakewood they have the lake. And what I loved about going to the lake was that it got me away from the noise. Still waters now represents the fact that you can get away from the nonsense. That you can get away from the chatter, from the you got to be able to escape the stuff from families and family members and the stuff on the job. Still waters represents the fact that God has finally led me to a place where I don't let that outside congestion affect me. That I can find that place of peace. I thank God for those moments where I went to the lake because everything was quiet and everything was still. And if there's one asset that I have through the shepherd leading my life is that I know how to get away from the noise. Some of y'all need to get away from the noise. Some of y'all need to get away from those thoughts that's just speaking all kinds of negative things about your husband and what's all the negative thoughts about your wife. You need to get away from the noise and let him lead you beside some still waters. Amen. Hallelujah. Sometimes some of us in here are concerned about some things. We have some things that we're worried about. And if you can get beside the still waters, there'll be peace. Right? Hallelujah. Verse 3, he leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Right? Verse 3a is the empowerment now of restoration. The ability to continuously walk in the cycle of verses 1 and 2. So now when we get to the place now where we allow the Lord to lead us, we recognize his voice, then we are following him. And even though we don't like it, says, lie here, we're going to know that it's safe. I thank God that I've learned that if he tells me something, it's going to benefit me. Even if I don't want to do it or it doesn't sound good to me, he knows what he's doing. He's Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Hallelujah. When I get to a place now where I've gotten away from the noise, now I'm operating in restoration. Please write that word down for verse 3a. Restoration. Again, I can hear his voice. I'm listening. I'm monitoring his voice. Therefore, now I'm letting him guide me. And where he tells me to lay, that's where I'm going to lay. Because I know I'm going to be safe. And then now the process continues because now I'm learning how, because I'm tuned in his voice, I'm learning how to shut out noise. I am now operating in the power of restoration. Hallelujah. And now, the beauty of restoration is it continues because he's leading me. He's my shepherd. So now, no matter what's going on, he's going to make me lie down in the right places because I'm going to want to do that. And no matter what's coming at me, I'm going to continue to cycle verses 1 and 2. So restoration now represents the fact that I'm strong enough to continue the process. So every time I run into something, I'm going to hear from the shepherd. And then he says, okay, we're going this way. Okay, oh Lord, we're going this way. And then now we're going to lie here. Okay, we're going to lie here. And notice now it's quiet because you don't hear the noise. Yes, Lord. So the next time I run into another situation, because I'm operating in the power of restoration, guess what? I continue to cycle. Hallelujah. We give the Lord praise. And then verse 4, he said, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Can you give me that next image? I don't have my pen up here. And that's really not the best image. This is actually a mountain in Jerusalem. And right in this area right here, somewhere in there, if it was clear, shepherds would lead their flock through that area. So theologians believe that there is an actual valley of the shadow of death. And the bottom line to the valley of the shadow of death is the sheep are being led through an area where it is completely black and they can't see anything. So when we talk about the Lord being our shepherd, there will be times when you won't be able to see a thing. There will be those moments where, okay, we must trust your voice because we can't see anything. How many of us have been led by God, but man, he's got you in a place or has had you in a place where you couldn't see nothing? Couldn't see a thing. Why are we here? One thing you want to make a rule and put it in your spiritual library, that you will never question God. You will never use the word why. Why is the wrong word if you are truly a champion walking with Jesus Christ? Because if you want to ask why, you should say, Lord, why did you shine your mercy in my life when I was doing all the evil I was doing? Why, God, did you love me when I didn't deserve it? Why, God, did you still heal my mind when I was operating in rebellion? When I ask why don't you question his love and his grace and his mercy, because he's been good. And if he's been good to shine his light of mercy on you, then he's good enough to get you through a place of darkness. Oh, hallelujah. Matter of fact, because I'm operating in the authority and the blessing of restoration, I love when I can't see, because that's when God's at his best. When it don't look right, that's when he's at his best. Faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. We walk by faith and not by sight. Hallelujah. where I messed up and he had to pick me up because I laid down in the wrong spot, and all of a sudden I got bit by something, and still he came and picked me up and healed my wound and drew the poison out. So now when it gets dark, I say thank you, because I know he's with me. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Guide me, God. I know you're with me. Hallelujah. Represents a place I can't see. I can't see. What are you doing, Lord? This don't look right. Just say, Lord, the Lord is my shepherd. No matter what it looks like, he's still your shepherd. Verse 5, thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. If you notice now, you're seeing a progression. And right here in verse 5, this is a crowning moment. Because now, God has now put a table out. And you are now enjoying a meal in the presence of your enemies. If you look at the progress now, the Lord is my shepherd. I'm content. I'm secure. Because I shall not want. As he's guiding me, Lord, I'm listening. I'm learning to hear your voice. I'm learning to let you guide me. So, we're stopping here. I want you to lay here. Okay. I'm going to lay here. And now, because I'm obedient, he takes me beside still waters. And I know how to cancel out noise. I know how to remove negativity. Some of y'all like negativity. Some of y'all run to negativity. You need to get away from the noise. But now that I'm getting away from the noise, wow, all of a sudden I'm strong and I'm operating in the power of restoration. Hallelujah. So now when things get dark, I'm not worried about it because I'm tuning in on his voice. Right? So now out of nowhere, the enemy now means nothing to me. Hallelujah. Matter of fact, I'm not concerned about what God's doing with my enemy because I know God's got me. So therefore, in his time, he'll deal with enemies. In the meantime, let's sit down and let's eat right in their face. I'm a witness to things that I've been praying about for the last 20 years. All the enemies that have been coming against me, I don't even think about it. I'm sitting there eating, and God is just moving right in front of their face. Don't worry about your enemy. Don't worry about what's your opposition. God is preparing a meal for you so that you can sit down right in front of your enemy. Hallelujah. Somebody shout hallelujah. Right? So now, my last statement to you all is verse 6. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Give God a shout of praise in the house. Trained by the greatest. Trained by the greatest. I'm looking for you. I'm going to ask the praise team if they would come up at this time.